It's Mike with Unique Wealth Education. So we're here to talk about building, diversifying, protecting wealth. And today I got a very unique guest who I'm very happy to have on the podcast, who is a turnkey developer out of Kansas City. Also, he runs a large meetup group. And welcome to the show, Nathan Brooks.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure for me to have you on, and I'm glad you could make it. I know you have a busy schedule, and thank you for fitting us in. So Nathan, tell me a little bit about yourself. Give me a little bit about your background, and what's your niche in business, and give me some of the some information on you.
Absolutely. So, like you said, I'm Nathan Brooks. I'm out of the Kansas City market, and I've been doing real estate a little over 10 years. And I think this is technically year 12, maybe. And so we run a turnkey company, like you mentioned, and we're on pace to do about 150 houses this year in 2019. And so this is our fourth full year of business. And so I have about 10 people on our staff, and we're just very focused on really high caliber renovations and really having that consistency within our business and for our clients. And so, really enjoying kind of learning through that process and getting better and better at, being consistent on buying them, renovating, selling properties. So.
Well, I see a lot of your homes, and they look absolutely beautiful because I see them online when you post them, and they look great. And I know last month you sold almost 20 properties, so you're doing wonderful. So I highly respect that. So you've been doing the turnkey model for 4 years, and it's amazing that short of period, that short of time frame, and you're up to doing 150 plus properties a year. That's how did you get there? I mean, that's a big jump. I look at it like 4 years. That usually takes someone a lot longer to get to that level of scale.
Sure. Well, it's screwing up a lot, first of all. It's not a perfect science. And so I think one of the blessings that we have, I have an incredibly talented business partner who is great with details, great with organizational structure. And, between his gifts and mine, for us to really come at problems head on and not be afraid to put the hard work in and not be afraid to jump in and solve a problem. We're not going to get upset with somebody because they screwed something up. Let's figure out what the actual problem is. Let's figure out the process to solve that problem and then dive in. So, the other thing that really, really helped us, and I think it starts, especially in an organizational structure, maybe not so much with an individual, but even then it's important, is being clear on your culture. And the more clear we got on our culture and the more clear we were able to say, like, this is who we are, these are our core values, this is what makes us tick, Michael, and we believe in this, and if this fits, it repels and attracts people in your organization and clients. And so once we had that and we could talk about it, man, it has really transformed the way we talk about problems and also the way we bring on and hire talent.
I 100% agree with that. I actually had a conversation with a gentleman out of Memphis, and we were chatting, and we were talking about how you can put policies, procedures, and structures in place, but if you don't have the right people, it doesn't mean anything. So to me, recruiting talent and the right people that meet your core values, and to me, your core values are what your company is all about. And so I really respect that that philosophy as we do it in our company. And with our company, it's pretty simple. We say, these are our core values. Is this something that you meet? And then we look at it, anyone could say, yeah. And then we look at it and we say, is this person a good person? Are they skilled in what we're looking to hire them for? Do they get what we want them to do in that particular position? Do they want to do what we want them to do in that particular position? And do they fit in to our culture and our company? So, that's the reason why you're where you're at, along with your business skills and acumen and personality and giving mentality. So that's wonderful. I love to hear that. So you have also built up Bridge Meetup. So this club, I'm just seeing thousands of members, on your Facebook page, and I see your meetings, which I was honored for you to ask me to come out there. Thank you very much.
We're excited to have you.
I'm looking forward to that. I love to speak to individuals that are willing to take the time to go to meetup groups and RIAs to better themselves, and with the hopes of expanding our knowledge and making a better future for themselves and their families. So I'm excited for that. But
Yep.
you seem to take this thing from zero to up here so quick. So I look at it like, wow, that is amazing. So good for you. And how many people are in your meetup group now? Because I see it's growing so much.
Online, I think we're almost 4,100 people in 5 months.
Wow.
So
Good for you. Good for you.
And then we're averaging probably 160 to 180 live as well, even just after that period of time too.
Wow, that is quite impressive. So, are you the largest meetup group now in Kansas City?
We are, and we actually took that spot like in our third month. We outgrew our first space, outgrew our second space, and ended up renting a theater. So it's really cool, and I think the heart of it is, again, that it has principles: connect, learn, help others, and take action. So it's very clear what it's about, and uh, being able to lead from the front and say, hey, I'm not just here trying to get you guys to do business with me. I'm genuinely, and my team, interested to help us as a community. And I think that's, and then bringing in world-class people, like yourself, who are doing, have these, it's true, having these incredible businesses. And so we've also attracted people like you, right, to come in and who want to be there, and also share that same core value too, right, to give back and have that generous spirit. And that's what feeds something like that. And then of course, having the marketing has worked, really kind of just guerrilla style marketing. We've not really spent $1 on marketing on that. And then delivering live, and making it awesome, and having a great experience. So it's been fun.
Well, I'm really appreciative of those kind words and the direction you're going in. You're gonna have to get a bigger theater soon, buddy. So
We
you already are.
we already know where we'll go.
Yeah.
But I want to just enjoy it. It's tough when you have to do a new venue each time, and so we finally have this one dialed in, and we have some room to grow. We can put about 250 people into this one. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, you're benefiting a lot of people. So to me, part of the business is not only you going out there and doing, hundreds of turnkeys and making money, but also there's a lot of people that I look back about, 15, 16, 17 years ago, 20 years ago when I first started, to have those mentors or people that you could ask certain questions to. I started in the construction business, and I had to make a lot of mistakes, understand where advertising dollars shouldn't go, and all this good stuff. So it's so nice to have a meetup group where generally, if someone has an issue, they could get up there and talk about their needs and wants, or stand up, and they'll probably have 3, 4, 5 people go to them and say, yeah, I've experienced in this, or such and such is a situation, we can help you out with it. So you really are helping out a lot of people, and that's a great combination. Helping people, making money, and you're making money, your company's growing. What a beautiful combination. So that's awesome. I appreciated you coming out. I know you came out to my office around 3 to 4 months back, and we sat down, pretty much for the day, and it was really, great to, I obviously had known you before then, but it was great to sit down and talk about different aspects of acquisitions, different strategies and whatnot. So, what do you feel about mentorship? Like, how do you, what do you advise people that are looking at, growing their existing business, whether it be them doing 5 deals a year or just getting started? How do you advise them on how to improve?
Man, it's so critical. And the mentorship, I think both from your own self, right? So part of us growing as leaders in our organizations is also, I tell my team all the time, I want to be worthy and earn my seat that I sit in. And so if I'm not worthy and I'm not leading and I'm not taking my job seriously, then how can I possibly expect them to take their job seriously? And so, in doing that, and so working with people who are, 2 and 3 and 5 steps ahead of me where I am, and then, same thing to those who, on my staff. So, we're working on that. We do a weekly lunch where we literally talk about what's going on in the company. We're very transparent, numbers and all, of what's going on. Are we winning? Are we losing? What's the score? Because the numbers matter. And then, you know, I think if you look at the inside of an organization, mentorship wise, what I've learned the hard way is, you have to be able to model what it is that you're expecting. And to lead, manage, and hold people accountable, you have to be able to know exactly what you're actually lead, managing, and holding people accountable for. And so by modeling that and saying, hey, I'm not better than doing this job or solving this task, or, and once we were able to say, here's all those things, and by the way, here's the process to do that, and oh, by the way, let's do this again and again and again and again. Oh, let's fix it, or let's go back in and break it down. And so within our organization, that's been critical. And then, mentorship on the outside of our business, I feel the same way, where if you see somebody that's doing something that you're really fired up about, then now you know it's possible. You can see it, right? And then, but you have to be very thoughtful and cautious in who you select, because that is who will be feeding you information and helping build you and create you into the person, investor, business person, leader that you are. And so, I'm also really thoughtful on the inputs that I allow into my life and into my brain and into my world, and make sure that that's really going to manifest to myself, my family, and my team what I want. So, I think the mentoring is just critical. And uh, and I think a lot of times people are fearful of helping other people because, like, oh gosh, they're going to do more deals, or oh gosh, they're going to there's enough to go around and we don't have to be afraid. And there's just an incredible book called The Go-Giver. And, it talks about that, where the you are directly, it's directly proportionate, the income that you receive and the blessings in your life that you're giving to other people, and that you are actually letting go, not afraid, abundance mindset. And it's not just a phrase, it's truly real. And I'm experiencing it in my own life and business.
Well, I mean, I experienced it with you. I mean, for example, I can text you, I can call you, we could run things by each other. And, to me, building a bridge is part of building success. I think that a lot of times people hold things too tight, and it's like, hey, you do that, you're going to be all alone, and not in a situation where you're giving and you're receiving. And I think that that's a situation where it really pays off in business and in life. I don't think anyone could do anything by themselves. And if you think you can, I don't know how far someone's going to get doing things by themselves. So that's huge. I respect you having a weekly lunch and learn. That's something I just actually made a little note to myself. We actually have a weekly town hall meeting, we call it, and we get together and we chat. We try, everything that's there is positive, because you could talk about challenges or whatever you may have in certain department meetings. But I like that lunch and learn, because I think it's more of people are having lunch together. There's a team camaraderie that happens there, and you also talk about good, and you could talk about some things that maybe we need to improve on, or a situation that we're trying to get through. So I appreciate that tip for myself. I'm going to take it for myself and probably start doing that. As far
Nice.
as a weekly lunch and learn as a team. So that's
It's been
appreciate that.
it's it's been super awesome, and it's basically lunch for a half an hour, discussion of the business for 15 to 30 minutes, and then we actually read a book together every week. So it's been really, awesome where, we as business leaders, a lot of times, entrepreneurs, I'm always reading books, but it's one thing to learn it yourself. It's another thing to have those discussions. And so, man, we have some powerful, powerful moments as a team together in those lunches, and being able to just have that. Sometimes it's hard when it's some work related thing and you're really frustrated about it, or it's not working, but you have the context to this book, and now you can express it through the story of a character versus express it through your own frustration, and really dive into some complicated things, and it's just been a really, really cool uh, you know building block and culture building thing in our business.
That's really cool. That's really cool. It's a different way to, reading a book as a team, and it just brings a different angle to the business. And I think I look at it like, trying different things, and being unique, really sometimes takes things that much further. You could probably get more out of your team and more out of yourself that way too, because there's a lot of advantages of that, and a lot of us don't think like that. I used to actually once in a while play a video. I would find something that I think would be helpful towards a team, and I'd play a 5-minute video or something along those lines, and then we would talk about the video afterwards. So it might be a motivational video, or it might be a video, a challenge video, someone that's facing a challenge, or even a podcast that was held just a certain segment of it, and then we talk about it. So I love those kind of things, because I believe that builds team camaraderie, and helps out a lot. Let me ask you, Nathan, what has been your biggest challenge and success in getting to the point where you're at in business, which is very successful, doing tons of turnkeys, building up this meetup group that is the largest in Kansas City. What has been your biggest challenge and success?
I think it's funny, all the things we've talked about, because it really is the people and leadership component. I believe, because it's one thing to have a vision of an idea, and there's so many deals that we can do ourselves, and you can do them without too much trouble, 1 or 2 a month or whatever that might be. But I think as you add people, you add complexity, and then you add the component of scale. So whatever you apply pressure by adding scale. And so it really requires your processes to have, and your people to have new abilities, new understandings, maybe even new processes, and new clarity. And then as you add more people, you also have a different requirement as a leader, because now you're not just leading one person, you're not setting a vision in your own mind, but you have to actually have the buy-in, and then actually lead people. And so, looking at a deal, you and I, we can do it in 30 seconds, right? I can do it in my sleep. We already know half the roads, right? Somebody rifles off an address, and we know what it is. Done deal, right? It's another thing when you have somebody sitting in front of you and they're having a crappy day, they're frustrated, or they're talking to a wholesaler who's giving them a bunch of crap, and that they're not solving the problem or whatever. And then so those are the moments that have required me, or 10 years ago, I might be really frustrated with that person. Like, why didn't you just handle it? Now it's like, guess what? Tell me about it. Tell me what the problem was. Okay. Let's work through it together. I've got your back. And the more that I have taken the time, well, first of all, we take a lot more time in hiring too, but I think the staffing, yes, we do. And we have like 5 interviews in the process of hiring. And we literally take an incredible amount of time, and even recently, we even went through a professional set of questions that were in professional interviews. And as a team, our leadership team, we went through this entire list. We discussed all of the questions. We put them into a Google Sheets format, and then assigned who the people would be responsible for different areas of questions. And then we had an exit interview, even with the people we were interviewing, exit interview questions, ratings, and review. And so now it wasn't just like, hey, Michael, it's your job. No, guess what? Michael, you're on the team. Nathan, you're on the team. John, Billy, Bob, whatever, you guys are on the team. You're just as responsible for us to make sure that we've done it right, because we have to protect the castle and we have to protect the thing that we've spent all this time building. So, I think by far in business, the hardest thing is not, of course, marketing's hard, and, sometimes clients are hard and all these things, but leading and managing people is by far, I think, the hardest part.
I agree with you. And bringing in the right people is so important. So when you have the right people and you have the systems, policies, procedures, processes, wonderful. But you mentioned something that I want to talk about a little bit further, which is hiring. And, I just want to throw out there, what we've done. And, throughout 20 years I've been in business, I mean, I'll tell you guys, I made so many mistakes. Like sometimes I'd meet someone and I'd say, oh my gosh, they're the nicest person. And, I'd just offer them a job. They were so nice. And I realized I'm not only hurting myself and my company, but I'm actually hurting that person too.
Yep.
Okay. So, I've learned so much. I mean, honestly, I think that, throughout the years, I've had over 100 employees throughout the 20 years that have been in and out. And that's, I would take full responsibility for that because I didn't know the process. And now I do know the process. And one of the things that we do, we have a little process that we follow. Number one, we have, job ads out there, but we first go to the people in our industry. We say, hey, do you know anyone you could recommend? That's one of the first routes. But while we're doing that, we're posting job ads in different professional platforms. Then what we do is those platforms generally have questions. If someone doesn't answer the initial questions, we're not even going to an interview. No. Then there's a personality test that they're going to take. And if they fit that personality test for the position we're hiring for, then we're going on to the next step. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is we're looking at the resume to make sure that there's longer stints in operations or in certain companies. We want to see people in companies for an average of 3 to 5+ years. So we don't, preferably even longer. So if I had the choice, I'm going to take someone that has 5+ years in a company and they made a change due to wanting to grow, or they hit the ceiling somewhere, something along those lines. But then once we go through the personality test, we like the resume, we go through the personality test, then we're sending them 10 questions. And those 10 questions might be, what are your favorable working hours? If someone tells me their favorable working hours are from 11 to 3, I don't know how well that's going to work out with me. I don't think that's going to work well. So we ask them these 10 questions. We take a look at them and we say, okay, even what are they looking for salary-wise? We want to make sure that they're not looking for $275,000 when the job's offering 70. So those are the things that we ask. So we look at those questions. If they answer them, and we say, okay, great, let's go to the next step. Next step is actually an in-person interview, and we meet them in person. We sit down, we talk to them, and it's a general interview, first interview, just getting to know them, showing them what we do, and then asking them about themselves, talking about their resume a little bit. Then we go to interview number 2, which is meeting with the department manager, for them to also be part of the decision making. Like you mentioned, your team also helps you out with the decision making because they're going to be reporting to them. And then, if that goes well, what we do is we do a background check. And then we look at references. We call all references. And, we verify that they work there, because sometimes people will tell you they worked somewhere and they didn't. Well, you catch that, you find that out. I mean, it's just a no-no. If there's anything that's not straight up and honest, you cut it right there. And then last but not least, what we do is we say, I always tell people, look, their happiness is very important to me. I never want to take someone away from a job or from a career that they have or give them hopes and something doesn't work out. So what I do is I say, come on in. The best people to hire to me are employed. So sometimes I love to hire someone that's employed because they are in a situation where they're that good or someone wants them there. But also if they're unemployed, maybe they moved, they weren't happy with the company they're at, whatever it may be. But I ask them to come in and spend 3 days with us, shadow us. We'll pay them for those 3 days, and then we make a final evaluation between them and us. Is it a good fit? And we found that putting that all together right there has yielded us the best results of retainers of employees that are for a longer term and are the best fit for our company. Now, does it work every time? I would say that we're 90% plus success rate on that. I mean, we had someone recently that we did all this for, and it just didn't work out for them. And maybe they thought there was too much pressure in the job of dealing with tenants and dealing with owners, and that's okay, no problem. But we follow a process that we believe we've created. We didn't reinvent the wheel, but we're using logic and facts, and we feel that it works well for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's been really good for us. So, Nathan, what has been the key to being a successful turnkey provider? Because you are a very successful turnkey provider. People, clients want your product. Your product sells, and they do really well with it. The results are there. So, what's been the key with being a successful turnkey provider?
I think the key has been being upfront with the clients and from the very beginning. And just like, I love how you have the people come in, from during the interview and actually spend a couple of days with you, and they get to have a sense of like, what am I getting? And I think we do the same thing. I think we do a good job of explaining to the client, this is what you're getting. This is it's not just a property. It's the whole package of, I'm buying a property. How is it renovated? What do you guys do? How does the sales process work? What happens afterward? And so from the very beginning too, I tell my clients and I tell my team, like, hey, we don't bat 1,000. We're gonna screw stuff up. So just know that. So we're gonna ask for a little grace, and then we're gonna fix it. And so it's not a matter of if something's gonna happen or if there could be issues. There's always opportunities for these things. And so we approach it from, we're gonna do everything possible to do it right. And we do a great renovation. We do, we inspect and repair every item. We take professional pictures on every house. So what you're getting. We're giving you all the information, and just be transparent and honest and communicate. And we work a lot on communication on our team, and how are we presenting that? How are we explaining that to the client, and making sure that at the end of the day, there's none of those like, oh my gosh, if I would have known whatever, maybe I would have made a different decision. And so we don't want to have that experience, and we don't want that for the client. So
absolutely. Yeah, I love it. The upfront transparency and, providing them a good product. And, I always tell my team, we do a lot of inspections. So I always tell my team, guys, that's great. It's a different set of eyes because we have a city take a look at it. We have a third-party inspector take a look at it. The project manager is running the project during the project. The leasing team is, placing a tenant. So there's multiple eyes on it. So we're making sure the transparency is there. And just like you, the transparency and the inspections, they're going to know what they're getting, and that's ultimately great for the client. And that's the key to success, is for them to not be surprised and to understand that real estate is an imperfect investment. It's a great investment, but it's imperfect. Things can happen, but we're transparent with everything. So Nathan, this has been great. I'm going to ask you one more question here, and I guess, what would you do if the market went down tomorrow? Goes down 40%, how would you react to that as a real estate investor?
I think that, like anything, we'd have to get our bearings and understand what's actually happened, and where is it at, what is happening in the market. You know, 40% would be a lot. And I think when you look at
That's
the,
drastic. I know that. I'm just,
oh,
it's very drastic. It's not going to happen, but I was just curious, how would you deal with things?
sure. You know, I think you look at the market cycles too, and we know that historically there's a market cycle, you know, and that's how it works. That's the ebb and flow of our market. And so, you know, I would look at it from the perspective of, you know, how are we communicating this with our clients? First of all, everything's now on sale. And so, you know, we have an incredible opportunity to buy, and now we have to solve the new problems of what, you know, we own and what current inventory that we own, and what does that look like. But the beautiful thing is it's a great investment today, and it still cash flows today. And so, you know, for us to be able to go in and then buy, and just like you have daily cost averaging in stocks, you'd have daily, you know, the cost averaging of what your assets are worth, and what you've been able to buy them at. And so, you know, I think it's critical that we think about these problems, and we don't have massively emotional reactions, but we take and name the reaction, which would be, you know, fear and concern, anxiety. And then we say, okay, well, the anxiety is this, and I name that, and okay, I'm going to let that go. And now my job is to I have to be still a great dad, I have to be still a great husband, and I have to be a great CEO in my business. And so let's go get this done, and let's start with problem number one, which is, you know, maybe mortgages, maybe clients, contracts, that kind of stuff. And we work through them individually. And you know, when you shotgun approach everything, you know, very rarely are you successful in solving anything. But if you take sniper approach, solve it. You know, sniper approach, solve it, and just go through one by one, and name the problems, the biggest problems, and use that 80-20 principle of leverage of what your time and energy is best spent on, and get after it.
I love that. Yeah, no, I mean, 40% is very drastic. I mean, we'll see in the future, I think, 10, 15% market corrections, which is healthy. I always say it's like a cold, you get it out of your system, and it creates opportunities for investors, such as yourself and myself and others, to buy and provide, a little bit better returns, or better returns for investors.
Yep.
And, at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about turnkey is that when someone's buying a turnkey property from you, from me, from other turnkey providers, that property will cash flow all the way through a downturn. And
Exactly.
that's why I love turnkey. And I really don't buy any properties above $130,000, because I do follow the 1% rule. Yeah, I have some that rent for $1,400 and $1,500 a month. But if I'm in a property and I'm selling a property to a client for $80,000 and it's cash flowing $1,000 or $1,100 a month or $950, whatever it may be, they're in good shape.
Yep.
The 10-year snapshot looks good for them. And I think that's what I love most about turnkey real estate, is that it's there for cash flow. Ups and downs in the real estate market. If there's a downturn, buy some more there. You're going to get you're going to get better returns. But when you bought over here, you're still getting great returns there too. So that's what I really like
Exactly.
about it.
Exactly. And not to mention, when you think about the longevity of that investment, if you just buy and hold it, and do the maintenance and repairs and stuff on that property, and you know when you think about how many people, and the average of retirements in people's accounts over the United States, and I don't know the number, but I know it's not very high. And you do that over the course of a period of time, where you buy a property, wait a couple of years, buy a property, or however fast you can do it. uh, it's an incredible way to actually build wealth and freedom through real estate, which is what our that's our personal mission as a company. And we can do that, and we can help people do that. And that's what's so amazing about it, is it really does truly transform people's lives and their retirements and their children and their spouses. And it's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So Nathan, someone that's interested in turnkey properties in Kansas City, how do they get a hold of you?
Sure. So bridgeturnkey.com. And we also have, Bridge Turnkey on Facebook, as well as that meetup that you mentioned. So it's just bridgemeetup.com, or, search on Facebook for Bridge Real Estate Investing Meetup. So.
Excellent, excellent. So bridgeturnkey.com. That's great. Guys, if you want a great real estate investment in Kansas City from a great operator and a great guy who will deliver great results, check out their website, bridgeturnkey.com. Nathan, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and hopefully we'll have you back in the future. There's many topics that we could talk about. Today was a general discussion, but hopefully in the future I'd love to have you back on, as you're a very, very valuable asset to listeners and wealth of knowledge. So I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Michael, and appreciate the opportunity. And I'll be seeing you soon, my brother.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.